Hello there. Today I've got an import, and a rather strange one at that, for what most of my stock on this show generally consists of. It is Birra Moretti from Italy, and it's one of the two major beer brands in Italy, the other one being Peroni. This one is actually owned by the Heineken group nowadays, and I believe the other Peroni is owned by Anheuser-Busch, who own tons of beer companies. So why did I pick this beer today? Because this is a national lager of Italy, one of two. It's one of the most common macros you'll find in Italy. They're the dominant position there by far. So why did I pick it for this show? The liquor store gave me a free glass for buying it. That's the main reason. But, you know, I do have things to talk about it. I did travel around Europe for a while, back when I was about maybe 45 years ago. Went basically pretty much, freaking hell, the cap is tight, or this thing is broken. Traveled around Europe for about 3 months. Went as far east as Hungary, Poland, Serbia, and of course I went to Italy as well. Between the choice of Peroni or Moretti, I'd usually pick Moretti. It's not like it was vastly superior than Peroni. It's just, the fact was, certain areas seem to drink Moretti more than Peroni, and I tended to be in those areas. Or at the very least, Moretti had a keen advantage in most of these areas in that they seem to sell theirs in a bigger bottle, which is not featured today. Peroni was usually in a bottle about this size, while Moretti was usually in like a half-liter bottle. And that included when I was in Florence, and I was at the Plaza Michelangelo, one of that famous view of the city, and the drink truck there was selling Peroni or Moretti. I saw Moretti had a bigger bottle, so I picked that eagerly. And so I watched the city, watched the sunset out across the city with a beer in my hand, just relaxing. And I got plenty of great memories of Italy like that, which ironically Moretti had a play in that. You do associate Italy more with wine, but I do think of Italian beer. Like, I was at a very nice restaurant in Florence, a family restaurant, and I didn't have enough, and they were short on change when I was giving them with a tip included. And they said, well, here, just have another bottle of beer, we'll call it square. It was a slight discount on it, but I still technically was paying for it, but it was a slight discount on it, and I thought that was really nice of them. Compared to Rome, which ironically is where Peroni's headquarters is located, at least the Peroni headquarters. If you said you were short, if you said you wanted change from something, they'd basically tell you to go fuck yourself. Rome is a beautiful city, but the people are not very nice there. And it's the only city I found where that was pretty much a stereotype that was true. So yeah, when I was in Italy, I mostly drank Moretti. At least in the north, or in Tuscany, Florence, relative to where I went into Italy. I didn't stay at any place further north than Florence. I stopped off in Milan for an hour or two just to get a train connection to Switzerland. I don't remember what I drank in Naples, but it probably was Moretti as well. I was more focused on the pizza there anyway than the beer. Now, that's not to say I drank only beer in Italy. I drank plenty of red wine. I like red wine a lot. And I had some outstanding wine there. It's really a nice feeling when you get a nice combination of food and drink that mixes perfectly. And you just have a wonderful experience. And that was my time in, say, Florence. Um, so I have a lot of memories with this beer, along with this beer, despite the fact it is just a national lager. Now, I haven't been talking a lot about the taste and smell of this, have I now? Well, it smells like a lager. It tastes like a lager. I'd say it's a little more crisp, and it has a little bit more of a bitter tinge to it in the end than, say, Peroni. But it's such a minor thing, it's really not that big of a deal. It's a national lager. It's a factory-produced one designed to produce a lot of beer for a population that had beer as a demand. This one is first opened in 1859. You'll notice that a lot of... I think that was actually even before Italy was independent. Or, not independent, unified. So, you'll notice a lot of these major national lagers, they were all created around the same time. That was when the lager as we know it was factory perfected and able to be produced in large quantities. Lager itself did not exist until, say, the 17th century, when early microscopes, very, very early experimental microscopes, 17th or 18th century, were able to isolate bottom-feeding yeast. And then as a result, we were able to create it. Before then, the yeast was usually top-feeding, making ale. So as a result, with these new technologies eventually merged into the new industrial bottling abilities of the Industrial Revolution, that is where all these national lagers came from. That's why you'll notice almost all of them are from mid-19th century. This one is no exception. Once beer of decent quality, because before highly carbonated lagers were invented, beer was oftentimes a lot flatter, and even before then, before hops was introduced around, off the top of my head, 15th, 14th, 13th century, hops were first grown in Netherlands. Before those were introduced, beer was mostly malty, very sweet. As a result, you could even say that older beer, medieval beer, was more similar to modern-day malt liquor, ghetto beer. So as a result, there's a history lesson behind this. But at the same time, this is a coldly calculated beer meant to be a national flagship for Italy. But at the same time, you can still have good memories from it. And drinking this, even though it's really not distinguishable from, say, Budweiser, there might be small, little, tiny, subtle flavor differences, just because it's similar to that. And I would never, ever buy it unless there was a special occasion, because import fees, it's going to cost a bit more at the liquor store. And I usually see Peroni at a liquor store. I was surprised to see Moretti here. But despite the fact it is a factory product, you can still have wonderful memories. Wonderful, wonderful memories that, you remember every time you drink it. And in the end, that is priceless. So I drink this. And I'm reminded of Florence. I'm reminded of the beautiful artwork in the museums, just the magnificent architecture, reminded of the views from the Plaza Michelangelo. I'm reminded even of Rome, of all the churches with... Every freaking church there has something priceless in it. They might have a bunch of, okay, artwork, lined up in the little altars there. Then you'll get to at least one. That's a classic. So it reminds me of that. It reminds me of the Pantheon, the Colosseum, even Naples, which it's a dirty city. But even Naples has some beautiful things that I love to remember. And you can't get pizza as good as Naples here. You just can't. So you drinking this, it reminds me of that. It reminds me of watching soccer on the side of the street by a cafe there in a little just a little dingy alleyway, and they had that TV set up by a cafe. I remember watching the soccer game there, Belgium versus USA, and I had no stake in any of that. I don't watch soccer, but it was one hell of a match. great defense by the USA. They lost to Belgium. And I just had a great time just talking with everyone there, just like, I remember all that. Just by drinking this beer, I remember a lot of this stuff. I've got photos and stuff like that, but... So even there's value to stuff like this, even when I'm not in Italy, when this is definitely not a flagship beer for my country, there's still reasons to drink it, to remember, and to enjoy. Cheers.